Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Okay, so as you can see, we have the Green Beast, the project that I started nearly a year ago, 10 months ago I think it was. So what I'm going to do here now is, well, hopefully get this thing built for the summertime. So the first part of this project will entail me building this custom battery pack. To do this, what I'm going to do here now in the next couple of minutes is start making a stainless capsule to contain all the cells for the bike, for the battery pack. So what I've got done here is I've made a template that fits directly into this bike frame. It's very precise. So what I'm trying to do here is make a stainless capsule that will hold each cell parallel to each other, but also keeping them flat. So imagine all the cells sitting on a bench, but I want to keep this unique, this uniform shape, this custom shape. So I have the stainless ready, 0.9 of a mil. I think it's 430 grade. So low grade stainless, but that's all it needs to be. So I'm going to jump around to the yard here now to get this thing started in this beautiful weather. So hopefully it goes well here. Okay, so that is one part cut out rough. Well, just in a square shape. What I'm going to do here now is cut a strip to go around this perimeter. So this long side from here to here and from here to here. So this capsule, this stainless capsule will sit like this, and then I will place the cells onto the strip that I'm about to cut. So hopefully that makes sense. So we'll get this cut. Just going to use this laser line here. Don't need to mark it. So just to point out, the cells are 70 mil long. This strip will be 85 mil long. So basically, imagine this is the piece of stainless cut out. Using this piece, I will then shape this strip to suit the perimeter of this part. Then it will be tacked on. Won't be fully welded. So it will look like a V shape with a face. So we'll get this one cut now nice and neat to match the bike frame. We'll take that to the bench. Good job. Okay, so there's not many days you get like this with the sun shining. So I'm going to take advantage of it here. So what I need to do now is mark out this piece of stainless using the stencil. So there's four main edges here, or four sides. So there's this slight curve, then we've got this complex sort of shape here. We've got a straight line here, we've got this curve to match the frame of the bike, the Y frame. So this is a lower cross member here. So this is important, and this is important. Here, not so much, but it needs to be cut near to this stencil because it has to fit in to the bike, the frame. But as I say, here's important, and here's important. So we want this as close to the frame as possible. So I'm just going to mark this out here now. So here we have the two little cutouts, the recessed areas for the drinking bottle. So I'll just go round them here too, or draw around them. So that's it. So going to cut this now rough, then we're going to file it or sand it to match the frame of the bike. We're not going to depend on the stencil at this stage. So we'll cut it rough here now with the grinder and take it from there. So that little curve went well there in the one stroke. So that's it cut out rough. Now we'll have to tidy this up nice and neat before we weld on this strip. So this strip will also need to be shaped a wee bit onto this face, onto this edge. But that's the idea there anyway. Then we'll have a stand also so we can stand it up. So basically the same way it would sit if it was in the bike. So we'll do this on a bench like so. So that's the idea, hopefully it works. I think it will. Just saves me doing it on the bike, and also the bike frame is not flat at the bottom and it's much more curved like that. So hopefully that makes sense. Good job. On to the next stage. Well, the next stage will be tweaking this to suit the bike, the frame better than it will already. So better than the template. Wherever it went to, it must have blown away in the wind. Don't know where it went. Okay, I've got it. So it's looking good. It's just a wee bit footery. So I'll take the grinder now and this piece of stainless and a few files to the bike. Just need to watch it don't spark the bike. So better work on this. Okay, so for this next step, I have to shape the stainless plate to fit into the bike frame as neat as I can get it. So I have a grinder ready, I have the files ready, we have the masking tape to tape up the frame here just to reduce, or not reduce, to keep the frame from getting scratched in any way, shape or form. So have to be very careful here. So I'll put the camera on the stand, we'll get the frame taped and we will start working on this edge and this edge. So these two edges are important. I also want to point out here, this plate that will be, not going to say folded, but formed or placed around this edge needs to be placed on the outside. So that's to make sure that the battery pack has as much space as possible. So if you can imagine, if I weld this on the inside, we're going to lose a mil, and believe it or not, that mil is very important here for this battery build. The batteries sit very tight within this frame and very close to the shock. So we'll put the camera on the stand here and we'll tape this frame up first. Okay, so on to the next stage here now. So I need to shape this now to match the bike exactly, the bike frame. So I might do this off camera because I do not want to mess up here. On second thought, I'm just going to go ahead here and bring this plate up to the template first, just before I put the plate near the bike. That's a much better way of doing it there. So if you look there now closely, you can see how accurate the stainless plate is coming to this template. So I'm going to work on the rest of it here now. Okay, so I'll follow on here off camera just to get this right. Okay, so I have the stainless plate now fitting inside the Y section of the bike frame. So some would say it's okay, some would say it's perfect, but it's not up to my standards yet. So what I want to do now is I want to eliminate this gap here at this point and this point. So these are my points of interest. The top doesn't matter. Well, as long as there's not a big gap there, because the sail would pass by the plate. So what I'm going to do here now is place the camera on the stand and I'm going to demonstrate how to match this plate exactly to the bike frame. So we have the tape ready. I've actually put new tape on here so there's no wrinkles. And that's to keep the stainless plate from marking the frame and also to keep the permanent marker from marking the frame. So camera on the stand here. Okay, with a new marker here, what I'm going to do is hold the plate gently in position and mark down it to determine the high spots and the low spots. So there's a low spot there, high spot here, the right hand side, and a high spot there. So what I need to do now is probably use a wee flap sanding disc and match this to the frame. And hopefully this gap closes up. So if you imagine, this plate's going to want to go that direction, towards the spindle here. So we'll remove it here, and we'll get it sanded, or grinded. Okay, so for this next task, I'm going to cut 2 packer plates that will rest on the bottom of the capsule. So these packers are required so that the cells don't collide with these standoffs that are there for the drinking bottle attachment. So I don't want to interfere with the frame in this way, so I could grind these off, but I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to raise the cells at this point. So we'll do that now, we'll get these cut and then we'll move on to welding this capsule together. Okay, so I've got myself a bit of 3mm stainless steel plate. What I'm going to do here now is cut 2 strips at around 70mm long, so the same length as the cells or a wee bit longer. The plate is 3mm deep, as I say, and that is the same depth as the standoffs on the bike. So we'll mark these out here, mark them at 11mm. I have that done. So 11mm, taking the blade into account, should take us to about a 10mm wide piece of stainless here. There we go. So we'll cut these 2 packers, then we'll move on to forming the actual capsule. Okay, so I am nearly ready to go on the shade here to assemble this project. So just want to give a wee quick discussion here before I move on, or before I move on to the garage even. So we have this customized stainless plate that matches the bike frame ready. We have this lower lip which will hold all the cells. That will be formed now and tacked around this special piece. I then have these two spacers that will be tacked somewhere on this face. So my next step here now is forming a stand to hold this special capsule project at, say, this angle. So when this here edge is running straight up vertical. So I also need to make a couple of supports to keep these two plates perpendicular to each other. So imagine if I was to place the battery pack on the bench. We want all the cells sitting perpendicular to the bench. So imagine if I was to set a cell now flat on the stainless plate. That's the way we want the cells positioned. We don't want them sitting at an angle this way, this way, this way, or anyway like that. So what I'm going to do here is kill two birds with one stone. I'm going to make this reinforcement plate. Well, I need to make a couple of them, but on the lower plate here, so I'll just show this. On this lower end of this capsule, I'm going to make a stand, say like this, and we're going to place the capsule into the stand, and we're going to take advantage of this plate. So this plate will keep, as I say, these two plates perpendicular to each other. So I'll mark this out now and it'll be easier to understand when I go to weld it together. So I'm going to cut this 50mm down and we're going to mark it the same width as this stainless capsule. So we're going to keep this capsule to the centre of the stand. I'll just take this off. And we're going to mark it 50mm down, or thereabouts. Just like that. So this edge and this edge will keep the capsule, these two faces, perpendicular. So we'll draw this, we'll finish this, and then we'll get it cut. So imagine now if the capsule is sitting in here, I will be placing the cells in this way. So I'm going to get rid of this. This is an important edge and this is an important edge for keeping the capsule square. So we'll get this cut here now. So this is the lower stand and the support for the capsule. So I just removed this at a 45-degree angle just to, so it's not in the way when I'm going to place the cells into the capsule. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here is have this little stainless capsule sitting in this position using this stand. That I just cut there now. So not only is it a stand, as I mentioned, it keeps this other face perpendicular to this face to keep the cells well supported and organised. So the next part I need to do here now is cut two more reinforcement parts out of the 1.2mm stainless. So I didn't make that clear. The stand and the reinforcement parts are being made out of 1.2 and the stainless capsule is 0.9. So what I need to do here now is make two more reinforcement parts, 1 and 2. I don't have my marker here, I do. So a reinforcement part about here and one about here to keep this stainless capsule square, or the two faces perpendicular 90 degrees to each other. So we'll get these marked out now and get these cut, and then we'll get in the shade and get the lower end here formed and shaped, and then we'll get this all welded together. So it's looking good. Okay, so I'm going to cut two of these small pieces. So this little L piece here, where I have marked out at the two positions on the capsule, they are identical sizes required. So I'm going to cut two of these out of the 1.2mm, identical to the stand. So here we go. Okay, so we have these two pieces cut, these reinforcement parts. So the measurement or the dimension here is 85mm, so that's the same width as the capsule, and the height is 75mm. So that is the height of the capsule. So we'll get these cleaned up, then we'll get into the garage here and we will get the lower part formed that will hold the sails. Then we'll get everything welded. So we'll get these cleaned. So I nearly forgot there, I'm going to taper these edges too. So basically a 45-degree angle, just to make these little reinforcement parts, these plates, look tighter. So I kept these nice and deep at this point for strength, otherwise they'd be useless. So we'll get these cleaned here now. Good job. All done. Onto the garage here now. Nearly forgot there. Going to give these little pieces a clean before I start welding them together. So using this coarse, this red Scotch-Brite and a bit of water here, going in the direction of the brush finish to remove all the marks, the burn marks, the permanent mark, just the blemishes. So this one's done. This one's nearly done now. So that looks good. At this side, it's really just the satin finish. So what I do here is just go round in circles, gently. I could use a grey Scotch-Brite, but it's not important. The grey Scotch-Brite being finer. Just looks better when you assemble everything. All these old marks, unwanted marks, when they're gone, it's just better looking. So it looks grand. Now on to this special piece, this special part. So we'll give it a wee rub too. But first, these little spacers. So the bottom's not important because you not see it, but I'll clean it anyway. So that's one complete. On to the other one. So again, going along with the brush finish. This is the rear end of this one. Not important, but we'll clean it, as I say. So now on to the brush side. So these spacers are important, as mentioned earlier, to raise the sails above the frame, the little protruded parts on the bike, that is. The little standoffs, the little threaded parts for the bottle holder. So that's that one done too. Near enough. Now on to this big piece. So I need to be careful of that. I'll set it on the bench here. And I'll zoom the camera down nice and close. Well, I'll move it down. So going in the direction of the brush finish, which is, we'll put a bit of thinners in this to remove these marks first. So bit of water now, going in the direction of the brush finish, which is this way. So again, as usual, I turn everything into, well, high quality, high standard. No half jobs here. So I'm going to keep this end facing out, so the cells will sit at the other end. So we're narrowing that. Okay, so that's that side complete. We'll clean it with fair liquid maybe to remove that oil. Okay, so this side, what I'm going to do is just go around in circles using the grey Scotch-Brite. So I'll go and get a piece here, or a pad. So just round in circles. It'll leave wee swirl marks, but it's not, it doesn't really matter. Kicking the camera and everything in the middle of this. As long as the brown colours and all's gone, that's all I care about at this side. So finishing this off now with the small circular motion. Could use a dual action sander here. You know what? I'll just do that. Okay, so just finishing this off now. Just giving a wee final rub at the side of the red one, red Scotch-Brite. Okay, so that's that part complete. All these parts. Now on to the part that will hold the cells. So I'll go and get it here. Okay, so I may as well do these small parts with the dual action too. The satin side, not the brush side. Or a smooth finish side. And the stand. Okay, so the back of this now with the red Scotch-Brite. Need to get some water here. So the brush finish is running this way. Lifting the pad, not dragging it across the brush finish here. Okay, so on to the part that holds the cells now. Okay, so this is the final part before we move on to the garage. I got there in the end. So cleaning this face still has the protective film on it. Okay, into the garage here now. This is where the tricky work begins. Okay, so I am finally on to the shaping and the forming of the stainless plates that will hold or contain the cells within the capsule. So, I initially started, when I started cutting these pieces of stainless, I initially had the idea of forming this in one piece, but that will be too difficult on this machine. Because it's not 0.9mm stainless, it's easy work, but it's still impossible to do it in one piece here, nice and neat, the way that I want it to match the bike frame. So I've cut this strip into two sections, long piece and short piece. What I'm going to do here now is start folding this small radius at this point. So I'm going to use this machine and I'm going to nudge it in small increments. So I have the two parts marked here. If you look closely, you might be able to see those dots. So those dots are approximately 1/8 of an inch apart. I'm going to nudge it in between them too, say 1/16 of an inch apart. And yeah, hopefully it goes well. So I'm going to start with the wee one and then we'll move on to the big one. So I'm not sure where these two pieces are going to be welded yet. Wherever the formed radius, wherever they meet up nice and neat when they're folded. So I'm going to start here now and hopefully this goes well here. So we'll start off with the small one. I've already done a sample here, I'm not going to lie, and the sample turned out well. So I have to make sure now that this piece, this part, is perpendicular to this tooling. So I'm going to start off here, I have 8 marks. I'm going to start off, I'm going to keep away from this one at the side, nearest this edge. I'm going to work in the middle ones just. So here we go. I'm just going to turn the screen of this camera around here towards me to make sure you can see everything. So it's important here I don't go too much. Wee bit at a time, like that. So you can already see there, starting to form and then a nice wee curve. Okay, so I'm just going to start again here. I wasn't too happy with this part. A wee bit of damage at this block. I also wasn't square. So this might take longer than expected here. So wee small increments here again. I'm keeping it as square as I can. I will do my best to get this perfect. So I've decided to keep the brush finish towards the sail this time. For the sails. So that's looking better. That's part of the wee bit of damage here. So this radius needs to come right on to match this. So I have a bit to go. Don't have to stay on the marks, I can work in between them too. Looks good. Looks really good. So wee bit to go yet. So I'm moving it approximately a half a mil each time or less. So that's looking better now. So this is for the short side obviously. So you can see there now how well this fits. So I'm going to give it a wee bit more out towards the edge here. Then we'll move on to the bigger strip. There we go. So I'll move on to the bigger one here now. So basically what I'll do now is I'll cut this somewhere nice and neat and line the two up. And they'll be sitting at a 45-degree angle roughly. And I'll shape them into the face of the capsule. So on to the bigger one here now. Okay, so I'm now on to the bigger one here. So what I need here is a curve, a radius, identical to this smaller plate that I just formed. So the radius is approximately 15 mil. So we'll move on here now to the bigger one. I have it marked out and all. Just to point out, these marks are just there as a guide. When I start folding it or incrementing it, basically moving it in small just small minute movements. Maybe approximately a distance of less than a quarter of a mil maybe. So it's important to get it square to start here. So that looks okay. Wee small nudges now, again. And just check it before we go any further. There we go, so we're getting there. So at this point now it's sort of rest in the V, so you've no call for the square. Okay, so that looks good. Does it match this one? Yeah, wee bit, well, it will if I place it like this. So that's perfect. This one's a wee bit past, so we'll just give it a wee bit more of a push towards the edge. Just need to sort of hold it out a wee bit. Okay, that's good enough. In fact, that's perfect. So ready to be cut now and welded at say 45 degrees. we'll know when we take it to the bench here. So good job. Okay, so I've went ahead here and started to shape this using my hand. Not using a press brake. We just need a slight curve on this to match here. The curve gets a wee bit sharper at this point. So I have it marked, knowing where to apply more pressure here. So basically what I'm doing here is working it with my hands, my thumbs. So you can see here now it's starting to line up quite well. When this is lined up, I can then cut at this point, and then we can bring the big plate into play. So believe it or not, this curve actually extended right round to the flat part here. So I could have got away with it using that press brake in one piece, but it'll be alright the way it is. So a wee bit more pressure at this mark. So I'll follow on here off camera. I'll get this ready for welding, the next stage. Just before I move into the garage here, I'm going to cut this little section off so it's not required. So that's where the large piece will run onto this one. Okay, so now that the small part is nearly complete, I have to tweak it a wee bit yet, and we have to finish off cutting it when it's welded onto this face. So what I need to do now is find out where this larger piece that holds the cells at the bottom, the larger part, needs cut. So if I put a wee small mark here now at the end of where the small plate is, and I bring this big part into play, like so, I'm now able to find out where I need to cut this bigger one, which is just at the start of the radius, the curve. So I'll get this cut now, and I also have to focus more pressure at this point here to match this plate to this face. So, going well here. Okay, so with this larger plate now at the bottom, I need to place a few folds around this point. When I say a few, probably 10 minute folds within a distance of approximately maybe about 3/4 inch, 15 mil. So what I'm going to do here is go ahead. I'm going to set this on the ground first to give me something to work off. So we have the long piece here now. So what I need to do now is place a few folds. As I say, a few, I mean quite a number. Several folds within this space here, starting at the first mark. So here we go. So I'm going to get the square here just to keep this perpendicular to the tooling. I'll get this larger one out of the press. So this is not going to be very much, a slight push on it. That will do. Another one about there. Again, using the square. And another one about here. So that might be enough. Okay, so it's perfect. I'm going to bring the camera down here to the ground. So if you look there now, you can see how well it lines up. The rest can be worked with hand because there's a slight curve around here going on the way. So concave this way. So we'll get this welded up here now. We'll file these edges. So I've brought them up to a good standard here, but I'm just going to tweak them with a file again, just as demonstration here. Okay, so I have brought the stainless plate back to the bike for the final time. So this is just to demonstrate a couple of things. So what I have done here is I've marked out exactly where these standoffs are on the stainless plate when the stainless plate is in position. I have also placed a mark here just to show the last point of contact the stainless plate has on the frame at this point. So that's just a wee error within the template there, within that stainless plate. That gap should have been closed at the bottom there. But it's okay. What I can do there is place the cell, the final cell, in position when the pack is built, when I place the pack in the bike. So hopefully that makes sense. So when I place 99 cells into the capsule, I will then move the pack to the bike, well, one bank to the bike, and place the final cell in. Then I will remove the battery bank, well, it being the left one or the right one, and I will complete the pack on the bench. So just to demonstrate, there's no gaps whatsoever. So we'll take this to the bench here now and we'll get it welded together. So hopefully that explains everything up to this point. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, well, I'm not going to really go into that in detail yet, but that part of the bike there needs modified to allow the final cell in. So not much, just a wee touch. So we'll take this to the bench now and we'll get it welded. So it's looking well. Okay, so I finally have these 8 parts complete for the capsule. Some of them were made today and some of them were made last week. So there's a bit of work went into this. So what I need to do now is, well, clearly weld everything together. But I just want to demonstrate here something before I move on. So I have filed, after I have grinded these, well, after I cut them, then I grinded them to suit this main plate that matches the bike. I then filed them nice and neat, making sure that this edge matched this face. Well, making sure that this edge was running parallel to this face. The same goes for this one. If I was to place a straight edge along this face and a straight edge on this edge, these should be parallel to each other. So that's important for the battery pack. We don't want, what do we see? We don't want these sitting off like that. We want them nice and square. So what I'm going to do now, first things first, I just want to point out, as well as lining this edge up to this face, it's important that it's nice and neat and flush and there's no humps or bumps or dips even. So what I've done here is just cross-filed this edge and the longer one. So hopefully that explains it. So they should line up nice and neat, like so, to match this face. 15mm radius. So I'm going to go in for tea here and then I'm going to come back out and start welding this together. Hopefully it goes well. So it's starting to look well here. That actually needs to go in this way. What do we see? Needs to go in, way in, like that. So it looks good. Okay, so I'm going to start off by tacking these 2 pieces together that will hold or contain the cells. So need to be careful here. Okay, so there's one tack. Moving on to the bottom here. So that's them two pieces tacked together. We're flying. Okay, so for the final main part of the capsule, I'm going to now tack on this face, this stainless plate, this really unique shape that matches my bike. So I've packer set here up to the height of 84 mil. The height of this is 85. So this being 1 mil thick, this plate will sit down flush to this edge, to the top of this, the plate that will hold the cells. So I'm just going to move this into position here. It's going to be tricky to get this right, but I'll take my time here. I might actually need to tweak this a wee bit. No, it'll be alright, I don't want to interfere. So we'll tack this. So that's one tack. I'm now going to maybe just focus on this corner. So I'll zoom in here. I'll bring the camera down. So I need to get a square here. Two tacks done. So that's important that this plate is tight into the corner, into this radius. So now I'm going to work my way up this side here. Tricky getting it perfect. Keeping the needle as close to the workpiece as possible. So I'm now going to work on, I'm going to turn it around here and work on, or focus on this edge. So that's that edge complete, and this edge complete to here, to this point. So I'll turn this around again without wrecking it. I'm bringing the spacer, the packer here, round along with it. So I'm now going to work up from this point. I'm going to take a wee break here. Okay, so that was tricky enough to get that sorted, but that's done now, and it's looking good. So the next step here now is placing the capsule onto the stand, like so. So it's important here that this face is sitting vertical. So say like that. That looks good there, so if I get that welded on there, have to remove this protective film first. That will do. And we'll give this a wee tack. So that looks good about there. This might be tricky to tack. So I might need to turn it upside down here. I'll put a wee mark on it. Turn it upside down. About there. Where we want it. Okay, so I have a temporary stopper in place, and I have this bit of stainless to act as a heatsink. So I'm going to put this stand in position here to be welded. It's not the easiest thing in the world to tack together. it being 0.9 mil, and it's stainless. It's a bit of a nightmare at times. It can be a bit of a nightmare. Okay, so I'll bring the camera around here a wee bit. And we're going to tackle the stand first, and then we're going to move on to these support plates, the boys that will keep these two faces at 90 degrees. And in turn, the cells being well organised, well placed in the pack. So we'll tackle this now. So this has to be tight to this face and also tight to this face. So it's a bit hard here to get this all in view. Okay, so there's one tack. I can now, I think I can, remove this clamp, and we'll turn this upside down. In fact, we'll see, might just keep it in this position. I need to place the heatsink back behind this once it's squared up. So to square this, basically turn it over the body, like so. Need a permanent marker here. Okay, so I have a wee mark there, and I'm going to turn it this way again. It's just easier to weld it. Saves any handlings. Okay, so I have the heatsink back in, and I have this lined up, ready to be welded. Two good strong tacks. Now on to the side here. So if I bring the camera around here, what I need to do here now is push this face out till it meets this part of the stand. So I need a heatsink behind this too, so it's important, that's very important. So I'll set this up and take it from there. Okay, so that's the stand welded on. I'm not going to weld any more to it, but as you can see at the minute, it's sort of tending to fall over, but that's alright. Once I place the cells on here, the weight will hold the actual capsule to the desk or wherever I'm loading the cells into it. If not, I can always place another wee upright from this position up to the top here. So I'll take the camera back a wee bit just to show that. So if you imagine this now loaded with cells to this point, it's not going to topple over. But what I can do here is add an extra stand from say here to this point, just for safe measures. So I'm going to continue on here now and weld these little braces in. Braces or gussets. So I actually need to cut another one for here, just to keep this face perpendicular to this face. So at the minute, this one's for here, and another one from here on the outside. So I'll get another one cut here and then we'll weld these on. Good job. It's actually sitting there now. Okay, with one of these reinforcement plates in position, or one of these gussets, I'm just going to tack it in place here. Heat sinks are also in position. One done. On to the other one here now at this point. So looking good. Good job. There you go. So the weld hasn't penetrated or nothing. So looking good. Now on to this side. Tricky side, so I'll get it set up here and I'll finish off the welding off this capsule. Good job, so that's the capsule all welded together. Ready for the two spacers. I'll do that now. Okay, so it's time to tack these two spacers on. So squaring it up to this face and lining the mark up to the mark on this face. So if you can remember, I placed a mark on these in the center of them, and I also placed a mark on the masking tape on this face when this plate was in the frame of the bike. So okay, on to the next one here. I probably should have put that one on first. I'll get the verniers and we'll do it that way instead. So we're going to square it to the other one, so the two of them's parallel. So that's 50mm. 50.5 actually. That'll be alright there now. So these will need tacked on the inside too. Might be able to do that at the other end here through the wee holes that I cut. The holes that were used to pass the little, what do you call them, standoffs on the bike. So we'll turn this around, get a look. So as long as that mark is in line with this mark, and the same goes for that one. Might be kind of tricky to do it that way, you know. We'll see the crack anyway, see how it goes here. Okay, so I just decided to place a tack around 2/3 of the way in here. So heat sinks, top and bottom. Bottom's more important. The top's only used to keep the aluminium from marking this brush finish on the spacer. So that's it finished. We'll take it outside here and we'll get a look at it. Okay, so I decided against placing another one of these gossets in the middle here. It's not required, so it's quite sturdy between this point and this point. So my next step here now is cutting off this tail and cutting off this tail. So I'll get these marked and we'll get them cut and then we'll get this thing cleaned. But it's looking well there now, ready for the sales. All complete. So what I'm going to do here now is clean this thing, but remove all this tape, or these small pieces of tape, and we're going to clean it with Scotch-Brite, pickle paste, or acid. Okay, so my next step now is applying this pickle paste, this acid, to remove the weld burns. Don't need to remove the weld burns, but I'm just going to do it anyway to make this nice and pretty. We'll let this sit on for about 20 minutes or half an hour. We'll take it out of the sunlight here. Okay, so that's it. Look how neat that joint is. You wouldn't think there's a joint there. I haven't even sanded it either. It's what you call perfection. Perfection. A serious case of OCD. So running this Scotch-Brite along the brush finish here. Okay, here we have the capsule complete. So gusset number 1, keeping these two faces perpendicular to each other. Gusset number 2, keeping these two faces perpendicular to each other. Here we have the stand, and here we have the most important part, the part that will contain the 100 cells. So what I'm going to do here now, first things first, I'll just get a cell here. So when I go to form my battery pack, or one side of the battery pack, one bank, I will start off by placing one cell here, and I will push it tight to this face. So what I'm going to do here now, before I do a demonstration of loading this capsule, so I keep calling this a capsule. Obviously it's not an enclosed capsule, but I think a capsule is a good name for it. So what I'm going to do is basically give a rundown on how I got to this stage. So here we have the template that I think I created last summer for this e-bike build. So we have all these white labels that mark out the cells. So there's 100 white labels inside this frame, the frame being here. So this was to determine if the 100 cells would fit in the frame before I started looking into this part of the battery pack in more detail. So just to see if it was going to work. Then came this smaller template. So basically, that should fit in there. That's the first time I actually done this, believe it or not. So this came a couple of months after this, and then I used this template to create this capsule. So this template should now sit into this capsule nice and neat, like so, which it does. So just to point out, this was to give me an idea of the stainless sheet, the face required for the capsule. The capsule then, the capsule face here, this unique shape, was then tweeted, fine-tuned to suit the bike. Okay, so that's that out of the way. I want to point out, I won't be demonstrating building the pack in this video. Another video will follow on the e-bike, probably say about 3 weeks after this one. So here we have the configuration. So there's 4 pieces of paper in here. So this is the configuration that I will spec the battery pack to. So here we have left bank, left hand side. here we have left bank, right hand side. So this will be the center of the battery pack. So this will be one bank. So if you can imagine, if I do that, this is where my left leg will be, and here will be the center of the pack. Then I will have, what do we see? Right bank, left hand side, so that will be basically like this. And then we'll have the right hand side of the bike. So, I'm not going to go into that in any more detail, but the width of the battery pack will be these two cells, like so, with around 10mm distance on the inside. So that'll allow for maybe a wee bit more even. Might leave it 15mm. It depends, I haven't got to that stage yet. So, one final thing here. This capsule started when the idea came from this. So I loaded the frame of the bike with the cells first to follow this unique shape, this perimeter of the frame. So you can see the yellow platform there, the yellow piece of plastic, which is this. So basically, this is where the capsule idea came from. So rather than build the battery pack in the bike, it just didn't suit my requirements. So the cells started to fall on the floor, and them cells are quite expensive. Well, they were at the time when they came out. So this idea came then, like this, to mock up a capsule, a stainless capsule that accurately follows the bike frame. So that's really it. I think I've talked about everything. So here we have the industrial grade glue gun that I will be using to form the battery pack. The two banks. We have these long glue sticks, 300mm long, and then we have, I think they're 300mm long. We have these 150mm ones. These came with the gun, and these were bought separate. So it will be really interesting when I come to building the pack. So I'm going to do a wee demonstration here now. I'm going to bring the camera up close, and I'm going to wrap this video up. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start off. I'm going to work my way up to around here, and then I'm going to stop. The reason I'm going to stop is because when I get to this point, we want to have stability within the pack, because the weight, the head height of the cells here will tend to push down. As I'm not gluing this demonstration or this pack for this demonstration, I'm just going to raise the cells there around here. So here we go. So these cells should fall into place. Pushing them all tight to this face. I'll call it the back wall. So this face is what we don't have on the bike. So when I'm placing these cells into this capsule, I will be gluing them with this special gun here. Just want to demonstrate here. There's a special tip on her here, so I can get down in. So see the length of that wee fine boy? It's going to work really well. So I started to freak out when I seen the distance there between the cells, because there's only around 12mm gap here to get in. So obviously I'm not going to fill the holes completely. So when I say holes, this honeycomb effect here, I'm only going to place a minimal amount of glue on these. The full length of the cells, of course. So I'll keep her lit here. So this cell here now is creeping over the little extruded part on the bike frame that I don't want to remove, because I don't want to interfere with the bike frame in that way, because the bike was quite expensive. So loading away here. I'll go to around 50 cells and then I'll stop. Keeping the cells tight to this face. So that's rising above the other extruded part now. Standoff, the threaded standoff for the drinking bottle on the bike frame. So you can see there now, the cells are sitting like a honeycomb effect. So if I was doing this on the bike, well, it's quite risky. The cells would fall and they would land on top of each other. The bike frame's quite, I never mentioned that I don't think. The bike frame's got a slight curve to it and it's only around 50mm wide. These cells are 70 point something as far as I mind. So you have about minimal surface area touching the cells when they're on the bike. But here we're using this flat plate. So it's working really well here. This is the first time I've ever tried it. And I am not joking. So there we have it. Right, that cell's too high there. So what I will do here now is get the template, and this determines the height of the cells. So as long as I'm keeping the cells beneath this edge, this upper edge here, we are fine. So I'll keep on going. It says I'm not going to go over 50, but I have about, what do we see? I have 70 in there now, because there's 60 in the box still, I think. There's 130 in there, yeah, that's about right, wouldn't it? So when I talk about the weight, the head height here, where do we see what I'm talking about? So at this point you want to be gluing these cells together, but I can't do that in this video. So what will happen here soon is all the weight of these cells will push down on the pack. So my next cell will start there. So see how they're all parallel and they are perpendicular to this face. That's what I wanted from the start, and that's why I designed this capsule. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to place the camera down, looking straight at them. Okay. So look how neat the cells sit within the capsule. And that's the way I want them to sit when they're in the bike frame. So I have another, what do we see? 20 or so cells to complete. But that will come in the bike video. So I'll do a wee plan view, aerial view, looking down here. So I need to watch, but that's not tight. Good job. Okay, so this project is now complete. This stainless steel capsule. So the next project that will appear on my channel will be the Green Beast e-bike build. So basically I will be continuing on with the battery pack. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It turned out to be more work than I expected. So if you want to see this project evolve, the Green Beast, please subscribe and hit the post notifications bell to see all the latest from my channel. To finish this video off, I'm going to try and lift this up to the camera here, just to show it face on. They might fall, well, they might move out of position. So there we go. We have the honeycomb effect. The cells all in position. So as I say, where my left hand is here, the head height of these cells can push these cells all out of position. So I'm not going to finish off demonstrating that. So thank you everyone for watching, and goodbye. Good job. Okay, so a wee bonus video here. So, after further inspection of the capsule, I noticed a few inaccuracies of this face, mainly because of this weld. This weld, it sort of distorted it. So, that was likely to happen even with the heatsink. So what I'm going to do here is make a backing plate out of 3mm stainless, and I will directly attach it to this thinner face. So this will follow in the very, well, you will see it complete in the first part of the bike video. So basically all it will be is another piece of stainless, and it will be attached to this thinner wall. So I can't take no chances of loading this capsule and then it being inaccurate. It's not bad, but it's not perfect either. So this 3mm plate will benefit this process for the battery pack. So what I'm going to do here now is finish off cutting it. I've already started here. So it's quite tough, it's 3mm thick. So I'll get going here. I'll move this out of the way. Okay, two things I want to point out before I move this out of the way. This heavier plate will not need to touch this face as long as it's sort of in the middle of the cell, the lower cell. The second thing I want to point out is this plate will not affect the shape of the battery that has been already created. So this template's still doing its job, or this back plate, this thinner piece, is still doing its job. So I'll get this cut now. Okay, so I'll finish this off, and basically the next time you see it will be in part 1 of the bike build, the e-bike beast, the green beast. So, all done with this video anyway. Okay, so that is the capsule completed. So I have this heavier wall now at the back, or this heavier plate, that guides the sails to keep the sails nice and flat as if they were placed on a bench. So if you can imagine the pack sitting like this, it will be the same now when I load this capsule. The sails will be nice and flush to each other. So I'm just going to demonstrate this. So if I use a straight edge, you can see there's no humps, there's no dips, there's not even enough room for light to pass through. And if I get this smaller square and place it here with respect to this edge, or this face, you can see that the two plates are perpendicular to each other. So that's it. I'll just do a wee demonstration here where my hand is too. So there you go, no light passing through. So that's it, completed. So the next video that follows will be the configuration of the pack, and then the video after that will be the actual battery build itself. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it ran over a wee bit, but it's looking well.